All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about an absolute powerhouse in the world of pharma manufacturing, the hammer mill. Seriously, if you're going to be making medicines, you need to know how to break things down. And trust me, this machine is a master at it. So picture this. You're in the lab, right? And you've got this tough, really fibrous piece of, say, licorice root. But the formula you need to make requires a super fine, consistent powder so you can press it into a perfect tablet. How on earth do you do that? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple, and it all comes down to brute force. You use a machine that is engineered for one single, powerful job, creating a massive, high-speed impact.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of this. To really get how a hammer mill works, you've got to understand its core principle. It's all about the simple physics of, well, smashing things.
So here it is, the key concept. Impact. This is the main event, the star of the show. We're talking about your material getting whacked by hammers moving at incredible speeds. Those pieces then shatter against hard surfaces inside the machine. It's a pretty violent process, but it's also super controlled and incredibly effective. Now, while impact does almost all the heavy lifting, there is another force at play. It's called attrition. That's just a fancy word for particles rubbing against each other in the screen. But, it's a pretty minor secondary effect. So when you think hammer mill, your brain should immediately scream impact. That's what really matters here. All right, so now we know how it works in theory. Let's pop the hood and take a look at the parts that make it all happen. Think of this as a quick virtual tour of the machine's anatomy. So here's the whole gang. You've got the hopper, where everything starts, a central rotating shaft bringing the power, those all-important hammers, breaker plates for the smashing, a screen that acts as a bouncer, and an outlet for the finished product. Let's look at each one. The whole process kicks off pretty simply. Your material gets fed into the top through the feeding hopper. From there, gravity just does its thing, pulling it down right towards the heart of the machine, that central, motor-driven rotating shaft. And this is where the action happens. Attached to that spinning shaft are a bunch of hardened steel swinging hammers. As they spin around like crazy, they need something solid to smash the material against, right? And that's the job of the breaker plates lining the casing. They're like the anvil for the hammer strike. So, how do we make sure we get the right particle size? That is the brilliant job of the perforated screen down at the bottom. Think of it like a gatekeeper. Only particles that are small enough to fit through its tiny holes get to leave through the discharge outlet. Anything too big, it gets rejected and sent back for another round with the hammers. Okay, so we've met all the parts. Now let's put it all together. Let's follow a single particle on its wild journey from a solid chunk all the way to a fine, usable powder. Let's walk through it. Step 1, the material drops in. Step 2, bam, it's instantly hit by the hammers. Step 3, those shattered bits get flung against the breaker plates, breaking them even more. Step 4 is screening. The whole mix is shoved against that screen and the tiny particles make a break for it. Step 5, recirculation. This is key. The bigger chunks are trapped, so they just get hit again and again and again until they're small enough. And finally, step 6, collection. The perfect size powder exits. It's this continuous, powerful, and super efficient cycle. So, you're probably asking, okay, cool machine, but why does this matter for my pharmacy degree? Well, let's talk about where this thing shines out in the real world, and just as important, where you have to be super cautious when using it.
And man, this thing is versatile. You'll see hammer mills used for basically everything from grinding crude drugs to prepping granules for tablets. It is especially fantastic for those tough, fibrous materials, things like roots and barks that other kinds of mills would just choke on.
Now, every machine has its trade-offs. On the plus side, it's a beast. High capacity, runs continuously, and gives you a really nice uniform particle size. But, and for pharmacy students this is a huge but, it generates a ton of heat from all that friction and impact. It's also really noisy, creates a lot of dust, and the parts can wear down. But that heat generation, that's the one you absolutely have to remember. So, to wrap it all up, the hammer mill is a major player. It's simple, it's powerful, it's versatile, and it's a workhorse you will definitely run into in your career anytime you need to turn something big into something very, very small. And that brings us to our final thought, and it's a critical one. We've established that its biggest weakness is heat. So, I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Knowing this, what specific heat-sensitive drugs or excipients should you never, ever put in a hammer mill? Figuring that out is absolutely key to making safe and effective medicines.